Ladies and gentlemen, I have some good news, very good news, and some potential bad news. The good news is that Kari Lake is on her way to winning a Senate seat in Arizona. Okay, Trump is up 5 points in Arizona. So don't tell me the Republican for Senate is the underdog in this contest. I'll leave it at that. You could do the math. You could disagree with me all you'd like. I mean, my viewers are not going to disagree with me. Everybody watching likely wants Kari Lake to become the next senator of Arizona, as do I. It's a red state traditionally. And you have Kari Lake in a state where she almost became governor and where Trump is dominating the polls by around 5 points. Biden isn't even close in any of these polls. Trump up 8, up 4, up 5. He's up an average of around 5 points in Arizona. Now you have Kari Lake up in a recent poll. They say, well, that was a partisan poll, but all these other polls are partisan. And she's down 4 or 5 or 3. She's up 1 in another poll. The fact that she's anywhere close at this point in a red state, very interesting dynamics like certain other red states. You have the contest for president, Trump dominating, and then for some reason, for governor or senator, you have the Democrat with tremendous momentum. That makes no sense at all. We'll leave that aside. The good news is that she's on her way to easily winning the GOP nomination in a red state where Trump is up by 5 points. Okay? That's going to help Kari Lake tremendously. The bad news is that she could lose a defamation case. Okay? Now, the Arizona Republic never asked where the evidence was for all the accusations against Trump. They never said, hey, stop investigating. If you don't have evidence, you need to stop investigating and stop accusing Trump of these libelous or slanderous claims, both stated and written, that or written and stated that he was a Kremlin operative or that he was compromised by the Russians. Democrats, media, especially media, and everyone going up against Kari Lake saying that she engaged in defamation, same with Giuliani, never did that when it came to Trump and all the accusations. The reason is because they investigated forever. Now, the judge won't dismiss the lawsuit, and she has to come up with evidence that they'll accept that states, evidence that they'll accept for her claims that certain officials did things that were illegal or corrupt. Okay? Now, that's the big hurdle right now for Kari Lake. She could become senator and also have to pay millions in a potential defamation suit because she has to prove, unlike Democrats who never had to prove that Trump had any specific relationship in terms of treason or any type of compromised relationships. They accused him endlessly without any shred of concrete evidence. And the evidence that they pointed to was a Steele dossier that the Clinton campaign and the DNC were fined for having purchased with campaign donations. The Mueller probe found no criminal activity. None of the accusations that no criminal activity in terms of Trump working with another country to undermine American democracy. None of that took place. Okay? Yet they investigated endlessly. Kari Lake doesn't have that. She just simply does not have that benefit or those advantages of officials at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, other agencies going to bat for her, like Democrats did against Trump. So hit subscribe to this channel right now. Share this everywhere. I'll explain why this is very important. And she has to prove in a court of law her claims. Do I agree with the sentiment? Absolutely. She has to go ahead, though. And it has to be there has to be evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that the court will accept. So simply pointing out absurd anomalies that take place, so this is by November 5th, 2024, simply pointing out absurd anomalies, obviously that help the Democrat or that helped her Democratic opponent, is not enough. She must she must give to the judge and the court specific examples where her claims against certain county officials or state officials prove that they committed some kind of corrupt act. There were so many bizarre anomalies that she not only needs to express to the court, communicate, show the court, but she has to link those bizarre, very, overtly biased, or those bizarre, absurd, peculiar, suspicious anomalies. She has to prove that specific individuals were behind them. That's what she has to do for this defamation case. Now, with Trump, they can accuse him of anything under the sun. Hit subscribe, by the way, excuse me. Hit subscribe to this channel to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications. Go to hagoodman.com. Your Patreon support is so important. That's below in the pinned comment. Excuse me. Just the cold is almost done. I'm feeling great. But just a lingering cough. But thank God I'm doing a lot better, and I appreciate your well wishes. I think it's, it's going around, but all right, I'm done. This is important for Kari Lake because I want her to become the next senator. Now, there's a difference between pointing out absurd, really outlandish, overtly partisan anomalies or bizarre occurrences that just happen to take place that help her opponent. You can look at that obviously and say, yeah, the cards are stacked against her. Media does not want to investigate the way they did Russiagate. Media does not want to does not want to treat Kari Lake in the manner they treated everyone who ever accused Trump of being an operative of the Kremlin. There was never any evidence, and the evidence was simply a hunch, a Steele dossier, an intel report that had you didn't know the evidence associated with that. It was just a claim, basically stating, trust us, we think Trump is corrupt, so we have to investigate him forever. Those were never libelous or slanderous claims. The defamation against BuzzFeed, by the way, excuse me, there were even Michael Cohen and others sued BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed was able to get away with publishing false claims about a number of people because they said, well, it was we talked about the dossier and we talked about other things pertaining to allegations against Trump, and well, we were just reporting a government investigation, so therefore it's not defamation. At the end of the day, though, Kari Lake doesn't have that benefit of the doubt, or she doesn't have that advantage of saying, well, the government's looking into this. The media never held anyone accountable for accusing Trump of everything under the sun. The media, Democrats, and people who wanted to go, who were against Kari Lake and Trump and, Republicans in general, make accusations, then investigate until every possible and investigative option proves that their claims were categorically false. And then they just move on, never say sorry, and certainly don't face any defamation cases. Giuliani, first of all, was never given an opportunity to even give his evidence in court. That decision will likely be overturned. But what Kari Lake has to do, and this is very important, she has momentum going into a red state. She will not have media. She must prove in a court of law, and it shouldn't be that difficult. She has to prove in a court of law that the county or Arizona officials She has to prove that Arizona officials were behind specific occurrences that undermined her gubernatorial campaign. Give me your thoughts below. She's on her way to winning the Senate, but she could also lose a defamation case. Give me your thoughts. Thanks so much. Hit subscribe and Happy New Year. I'll have a live stream tomorrow evening. Thanks, everybody.